The domain name system, or DNS, provides an essential function in networking by translating domain names into IP addresses and other information required to communicate on the internet. Businesses rely on DNS for their online services, making any DNS-related downtime potentially costly in terms of reputation and revenue. DNS tests help identify and mitigate issues promptly, contributing to overall digital service stability. There are three types of DNS tests: DNS server, DNS trace, and DNSSEC. The DNS server test evaluates the performance and reliability of your DNS name servers, either authoritative or recursive. It tells you whether your servers respond quickly to DNS queries with the correct information. Key metrics for a DNS server test are availability and resolution time. Results also display record mappings in the response. Typical use cases for DNS server tests include monitoring a name server's availability and performance, and alerting on incorrect DNS record mappings. The DNS trace test monitors the authoritative name servers relevant to a domain name. Starting at root name servers, it descends through the DNS hierarchy to authoritative name servers for the zone containing your target domain. This verifies whether necessary delegation records exist in each parent and child zone. Availability and final query time are key metrics for DNS trace tests. Results also display record mappings in the responses. Typical use cases for DNS trace tests include verifying the delegation hierarchy from parent to child zones for a target domain, and observing the DNS hierarchy from various vantage points. This is important when authoritative DNS servers use anycast IP addresses. Finally, we have the DNSSEC test. DNSSEC is a security feature that verifies the integrity and authenticity of DNS records at rest and in transit. Digital signatures detect modified responses, mitigating the risk of spoofing and cache poisoning attacks. DNSSEC tests help ensure the security of DNSSEC-protected domain names by validating DNSSEC signatures on all domain name records, from the root DNS name server to an authoritative name server. Typical use cases for DNSSEC tests include verifying that valid DNS signatures are being sent in DNS responses, and observing the DNSSEC trust chain and data chain when troubleshooting. Now, let's cover how to set up these three types of DNS tests in the ThousandEyes platform. We'll start with a DNS server test. Navigate to Network and App Synthetics, Test Settings, then Add New Test. Select the option for DNS Server. Add the domain name you would like to monitor to the domain field. Select the class and the record type. If you're monitoring recursive name servers, check the Send Recursive Queries box. Then add one or more DNS servers as targets. You can use the Lookup Servers button to automatically detect authoritative name servers for the name in the domain field. Alternatively, you can manually type the domain name or IP address of one or more name servers, which is how to monitor a recursive name server rather than an authoritative name server. Select how often the test should run. Next, select the agents you want to run this test. Once the configuration is complete, click the Deploy button, and your test is ready to use. To create a DNS trace test, navigate to Test Settings under Network and App Synthetics, and click the Add New Test button. Select the option for DNS trace. Add the domain name and the record type you'd like to test. Then give the test a name. Next, set the interval and agents you'd like to run the test on. Choose Transport Protocol and Test Execution Schedule. Then click the Deploy button to save. Finally, let's quickly create a DNSSEC test. Once again, navigate to Test Settings under Network and App Synthetics and click the Add New Test button. This time, select DNSSEC. Add the domain name and select the record type you'd like to test. Set the interval and agents you'd like to run the test on. Then click the Deploy button to save. Once a test is created, you can check the outcome in the test view. The DNS server view shows the DNS layer, as well as the network and BGP layers to help you understand the network performance to the target DNS servers. DNS trace and DNSSEC tests aren't configured to target specific DNS servers. For that reason, their views only include the DNS layer. That wraps up this tutorial on DNS tests. If you need additional help, visit the ThousandEyes documentation site or reach out to the ThousandEyes support team. Thanks for watching.